Ime, what were the main source of the offensive issues that you guys had tonight?
Missed shots, close range shots. I think 23 for 55 in the paint. A lot of really good looks there. Didn't get up that many threes, only 18 on the night, made 6 of them, so that's a low number for the threes that we have been generating. And then the zone that they ran got us a little stagnant. But when we did find the openings in the middle, missed the threes that would kick out or the close range shots. And so, as I said the other night, sometimes shots go in and it masks some things, and tonight stood out the other way.
I know it's kind of hard to look at this immediately after the season ends, but how do you view this season as a whole?
Some growth, some good, some bad. Obviously a poor ending. To play, one of our worst games in the playoffs in Game 7. We had a few bad ones early and kind of corrected ourselves from there in a lot of ways on both sides of the ball, and then to come out a little bit flat tonight, obviously that's going to leave a sour taste in our mouth for sure. But you look at big picture, the growth that we made. We just said no more victories or whatever. We could be much more consistent, but getting to the 2 seed and 50 whatever wins, and the growth that guys have showed, kind of have a blueprint for where we want to be, and that's the standard on a year-to-year basis. But all that doesn't really matter when you go out with a chance to move on, obviously, and advance. And like I said, kind of laying an egg in our last game. It's going to sting for a minute.
You mentioned the zone throwing y'all out of rhythm a little bit. What was it about just sort of the way they implemented their zone and how y'all attacked it?
We found it when we usually find Alpi in the middle, we get good results, whether it's kicking it out for the threes, and we had some of those, but also just the openings at the basket, and it felt like we missed a lot of point-blank shots, and the offensive rebounds, although we have 14, didn't really have a great percentage on the second chance, only made 50% of those, and so a little bit of that. And the other part, obviously, they had the most success against our zone for the first time in the series, and Hill got loose there, so they hurt us when we were in zone, and vice versa. We struggled against theirs.
Coach, the playoffs are obviously a different thing than the regular season, but is there anything you learned about yourself, about this team during this particular series?
We can't waste opportunities. We have that week of preparation while teams are playing and doing those things, and we have to come out a little bit sharper for sure. I feel like we had wasted opportunities in the early games. You can kind of throw away game 1 with a poor offensive performance. Another game we didn't shoot it well, and then you win 2, and then 3 and 4, it's right there. And you have those one possession games where, like I said, it's the free throws or missed shots or small things, letting some guys get loose and hurt us. And so I felt we had chances there to not even be in this position. And so the urgency to adjust on the fly and improve from game to game took us a little bit of time, and felt like obviously we got rolling in Game 5, but a little bit too late to be in this position right now.
Ime, why do you think Jaylen struggled so throughout the series, and what do you think or hope he can learn from the series?
You have to look at it as a sign of respect the way they went after him. Obviously the leading scorer, and their objective was to take him out of the series. And like I've said throughout the series, he gets the ball out of his hands and gets us the numbers and the advantage. He's done his job there, and you have to try to take advantage of opportunities in transition when we get stops to get out and run, and kind of be more efficient as far as that. But when teams want to blitz you, like I said, I always say you should welcome that and kind of pick that apart. We've seen it quite a bit this year with him, and so he's improved in that area. But he didn't get a ton of shots, honestly, throughout the series, or when they did guard him regularly, obviously had a big night, and then they went right back to what they were doing. And so it's going to sting for him as well, not having his best performance in the series. But at the same time, like I said, you got to take advantage of those numbers, and he did his job to get off the ball, and everybody could have played better tonight, obviously.
Ime, with Amen, what was most impressive about him during his playoff experience, and particularly the last 4 games of the series?
Yeah, similar to some of the other young guys who were a little rattled early on. He didn't start his best in the series. I think the first two, maybe 3 games, a little subpar for him. And he just kept grinding, kept his head down, and got in attack mode and took off from there. And so the defensive effort, he had to exert that energy, and defense he displayed was top notch like always. But for him, he just kept attacking, never lost confidence or aggressiveness. And so finished on a good note. Obviously tonight was good for him as well. Probably our most consistent guy tonight, but you know, he learned like he does on the fly, and really had a really good series after probably game 3.
Not to take anything away from the Warriors, of course, but would you say you guys beat yourselves more often than not in this series?
At times, for sure. You know, like I mentioned, you miss free throws. That's a sign right there. You know, in a one possession game, you miss 12 free throws or whatever it was. You saw the numbers when we missed free throws in the 3 games that we lost early. So that part stands out. You know, open shots are open shots. You're going to make them, you're going to miss them, and I think nobody's intentionally trying to miss the shots. So we had the poor shooting nights where we played good enough defense, and so like I said, those ones stood out, especially 2 games, game 3 and 4, in Golden State, where we really had great opportunities to come back home and really put some pressure on them. So those parts stand out, our offensive performance in some of those, and then tonight not coming out our best. So you know, they're a better group that switched some things up and took us out of our game plan a little bit tonight, but overall, yeah, we had opportunities throughout the series to really put pressure on them.
And then you touched on it a little bit, but just all the shots in the paint, like 30-something. Were they doing anything in particular to make that more difficult in the paint?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think the playoffs are physical. It is what it is. You have to play through some contact and, you know, not seek fouls, go to finish. And at times, we kind of got knocked off our spot, but we were doing the same thing as well, you know, to them. And so, yeah, you know, you got to give it on one end and take it on the other end, and just had to be a little bit more strong with our finishes, no doubt, or find your outlets instead of shooting over a few people. But I wouldn't say anything else for today specific. They are really good at positionally coming across and helping and being in the right spots, but lack rim protection. So you just got to, with our athletes and our size advantage, you got to just finish those easy ones.
Fred has a club option for next season. Is he a guy you want and expect back on this team next year? And can you speak to just kind of the partnership that you guys seem to have here together?
Yeah, absolutely. I think both sides want to be here and want him here. You know, from day one, as I talked about, the importance of him, you know, at the point guard position, kind of leading us in a lot of ways and allowing guys to grow at the same time and understanding, you know, what he walked into, what he signed with, and you know, he's a huge part of our growth in general. And so, you know, love everything he's done. You know, perfect combination of on-ball, off-ball for our guards and our young guys to grow. And obviously, love to have him back, and I think the feeling's mutual.
With the offense struggling against the zone throughout the game, was it any thought to play Jabari more minutes with his ability to stretch the floor and, of course, shoot over defenders?
Yeah, I mean, I think we gave everybody a shot off the bench for sure. I mean, you know, we didn't particularly shoot it well or score well off the bench. I think we had 11 total combined, so it wasn't our best night as far as that either. But you know, I think, like I said, we were guarding well enough throughout the series, and so we like some of our matchups with keeping our men on Curry and Fred there, and so the defensive part was good. You think you get your offense going a little bit more. Like we had the opportunities. I think Dylan had some really good looks, and others did as well. Even guys coming off the bench. So you know, combination of their zone and just us having a poor shoot night obviously stands out. But Jabari or anybody obviously didn't have the best night.
You mentioned Fred. He didn't get as many clean looks as he had been getting. What did they do differently on Fred?
Yeah, they were much more aggressive on him in the pick and roll. Obviously, he's had 2 or 3 really big games, and the attention that they showed to Jaylen, they seem to do that as well. But as I always say, he's going to make the right play. We have to, you know, score with the numbers behind it. And yeah, I think that was the point of us missing some of the kick out threes or rim shots. And so he got the ball to the guys, and they have to finish from there. So do your job when you get 2 on the ball. And like I said, he's going to find the outlets and just have to just score better in the paint, especially on the easy ones.
Coach, I know the mood probably wasn't, you know, the best once you went into the locker room. What was your overall message to them?
You know, we had our chances in this series. We all expected to continue to be playing, obviously, and so it's a letdown. But, you know, it's going to sting now, use it as motivation, and the growth and things we've learned and showed this year. It's all come back better, you know, coaches included. And so that was the message. Don't be satisfied. You know, we had whatever amount of wins in second place and all that, but nobody cares about that right now. It's where we finished, and you know, experience is out of the way. Everybody will take it and look internally and see how we can all improve and come back better. And not settle for first round or just making the playoffs, but advance.
Last one, Adam.
Ime, this is your second year with this group. You talked about the growth from year 1 to year 2. Can this team take that next step? And if so, what do you need to do in order to get there?
Yeah, I think absolutely. Took a big one this year as far as not just in the win column, but overall guys understanding. I think our biggest thing for us, experience is one thing for sure. That comes with time and being in the playoffs and things like that. I think for us it's the IQ got to improve overall. Just everybody being on the same page, and that comes with experience and going through certain things. But yeah, I think we can absolutely take another jump. We have to. We can't just come back the same, and that's the message to the guys. And so a lot of obviously physical work to be done, guys getting stronger and growing into their bodies and all those things, but the mental side is going to be really important for us. And we got some guys that have that experience, and if we can get everybody on the same page and grow in that area, I think that's going to help us take the biggest jump.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.